Have you ever wondered what your hands, heart, and intuition might reveal about your life? Welcome to Live Soul Readings, Hands, Hearts, and Higher Guidance with Cynthia Clark and Megan Brown. Each week, we explore meaningful themes, answer heartfelt questions, and offer live soul readings, intuitive messages, and higher guidance to bring greater clarity to your relationships, purpose, healing, and next steps. Want a chance to be featured live? Submit your hand photos and questions in advance. And join us every Saturday at 10 a.m. Arizona time. Because sometimes the guidance you've been seeking has been waiting for you all along.
Hello, good morning, everybody. I am Cynthia Clark, and I am here with Megan Brown, and we are so excited to chat with you today about relationships, about the goods and bads of relationships. How does it all work? All that fun stuff. So for those of you who don't know me, I am a hand analyst expert, and also I read tarot, and I do different mentoring to help people access their highest timeline. And Megan is just an amazing soul. She actually channels higher dimensional wisdom. She had a near-death experience that allowed her to access the other side of the veil. And now she does readings and teachings for people to connect back to love, because everything is about love. So even bad relationships are about love, believe it or not. So why don't we start with that, Megan?
Great topic, yes.
What's up with these bad relationships? Why do we have these?
It's interesting because yesterday I was connecting for someone and he'd asked me, why do I keep getting this type of a woman? Why do I keep attracting this type of a woman? And the answer is not just, because it has nothing to do with what he is doing wrong. There's nothing that he was doing wrong. Okay. He's a genuinely beautiful soul. I mean, I could feel his intention, his everything. But what heaven told him was that a lot of this is karmic, and that past life stuff and relationships with people come in, and you have to clear it in this life with them. Okay. But at the same time, I explained from the channel to him that energy that was put out of alignment in a previous life, he also had to come back in and correct. So then heaven said, tell him that the energy that he is putting forward as the woman is receiving the energy is not always going to match. And it's not necessarily supposed to match. And yet there are times when it does, right? But the times when it doesn't, it has everything to do with where each soul is at in their life at that moment. So in other words, he could be and I know he's vibrating at a very high level of his third eye and his crown chakra were both purple, like that deep royal purple that I saw in heaven. So he's doing a lot of work. In other words, the woman who he was referring to, it didn't mean that she was at that level yet within herself. So heaven was trying to tell him that, okay, so you've got some karmic stuff here. You're both not matching where you want to be matching. You think, why is it me? That was his question. Is it me? Is it something that I did? The answer is no, it's not. It's about recognizing where you're at and also staying positive about it. Because what you don't want to do is continue to self-sabotage your own energy and say, oh, it's me. I'm not worthy of a relationship. I'm not this, I'm not that. But in fact, you are. You just have to correct what you're saying to yourself and how you're putting it out into the ethers. I'll just call it the ethers. So it was interesting. So I even went out with someone last year on a few dates, and I remember it was like everything was great and it felt like energetically, it was effortless. But then another side came out, and I thought, what was that? Right? So
Yeah.
in other words, that didn't have anything to do with me. The individual was telling me that that's where he was at. And so I have to honor that and respect it, not try and fix it, and not say, but can't you hear what I'm saying? Well, the answer is no. I mean, yes and no, because
Right.
there is some yes in there, of course, for everybody. But the ability to hear it at the, like I call it the pitch of the universe, which is love. The ability to hear it with the love that's connected to it may not be there yet. Okay. Because it's a volume dial internally that we have to turn up. And so, even in like using myself as the example, even in that moment, it was like, oh, okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not what I need to hear. And there was more dialogue around it, but I just honored the fact that it was what it was. And it was almost like I called it the crash course from heaven and the universe. Like, all right, here it is. Is this what you want? Fast track. Come on, Megan. And, the answer was, no, I can't. I mean, I do, but I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I just got back from LA, and I was at the movie premiere of the movie I'm in. It's called The Pillars of Power. So, for anybody who's interested in, it's technically not the sequel to the movie that came out 20 years ago, The Secret, but it does have 7 original cast members from that movie. So it's directed and produced by the Los Angeles Tribune. And anyway, this movie is such a beautiful movie. I'm so excited to be part of it. I'm so excited to be connected to the message behind it, really, which is the secrets behind achieving greatness. And one of the things that they reiterated in that movie, coming back to relationships, is that you need to pay attention to the people who are closest to you in your life. So we talk about like vibrational set point, and we talk about, just the energy that's around you. And this is actually something that I also want to bring up from my book. But they say that if you look at the 5 people that are closest to you in your life, that is, and then you take an average, right? Take an average of the energy of those 5 people. That is going to represent your vibrational set point. So if you're hanging out with really negative people, if the ones really closest to you are super, super negative, that's going to lower your own vibrational set point because you're constantly having to work to get it back up. So it is interesting, right? How we sometimes stay in negative relationships because of, guilt or fear or, whatever it is. I know I stayed in a relationship far longer than I really should have. And in my heart, I knew like it was probably too long. But why do we do that? So maybe you have an answer to that, but then I'll read from my book.
Okay.
So
I have an answer right now.
Yeah, why do we do that?
I've only had 1 cup of coffee. Okay, so that's my challenge right now.
Yeah, I have my 3rd cup right here.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my answer to that is, wait, what was the question again?
Why do we stay in relationships far longer than we should?
Okay, so I believe that we stay in the relationships for multiple reasons. Okay, everybody's different. But I believe that there's a type of behavior that chooses to stay in the relationship because you don't feel that you can do any better. In other words, like you deserve what and who you're with and what treatment that you're getting. And that treatment meaning could be you're being ignored. And so if you stay in it, then you're participating in it and allowing it to continue to move into your life and be a part of what is making up your own mindset about yourself. And I believe now, okay, because I believe we've all been in relationships that, well, I can't speak for all, okay, but a lot have been in relationships that are like what you pointed out, too long. And I now feel as though making the correction for yourself about acknowledging what it is that just it no longer works for you without judgment. There's no judgment. So you're just listening to your soul and you're saying, okay, yeah, this doesn't feel right anymore. And you've acknowledged it. And now how are you going to nurture yourself? And sometimes it's tough because you've got to move out, you've got to divorce, you've got to, leave children in the mix because, then there's this whole thing. But what you get to find during and at the other end of it, of that separation, is that you get to find that, wow, I was withholding myself to some degree because I didn't know that I would have a freedom and they didn't want to see it. And yet here I am. Oh, I've got to figure it out. But you get to write the whole thing yourself. You don't have to edit yourself in your own life. So you see, it's like this huge positive. It's not negative. It's not even about losing. It's not about losing. It's about gaining new perspective of yourself, the situation, and then looking at it and going, oh, I am so grateful. I am so grateful for this experience because it taught me the next level of myself. And that's priceless. So
absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So yes, I want to read to you a little bit from my book. It's called The Mojo of Multidimensional Manifesting.
Oh, my dad, by the way.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. Okay.
Gosh.
So I have a section in here about relationships. It's page 88. And what I'm talking about in this chapter is about empowering empaths. Because, of course, empaths are the extra sensitive people. And a lot of times they get in really crappy relationships. And so my spirit guides actually said this about them. They said, there are sensitive types that have trouble, for they are absorbing other people's energies through quantum entanglement, right? So again, we're all energy, everything gets like meshed together. This makes it difficult for them to move forward or understand themselves, for they can easily get jumbled and enmeshed in emotional changes. The reason they struggle is not only an inability to distinguish their own energy field, but they don't know how to clear out and detox their field or the spaces where they dwell. Look at the not self aspects and lessons and how they play out in all areas of life. And once they become empowered, they will begin to see shifts in their relationships, clarity, and abundance. Okay, so this makes perfect sense. Why these sensitive souls have these issues. And this also shows up in the hands, by the way. So there's a marker called the girdles of Venus, first of all, that you might have in your hands. And so if you want to take a look at your own hands, it's going to be underneath the middle finger and the Apollo finger, the ring finger, as like a little half moon, half circle. Okay, so those are called girdles of Venus. And if you have those, that's somebody who is like super extra sensitive. Okay. Another place to look on the hands is we have a zone of boundaries. Okay, so I know. Your zone of boundaries is actually on your index finger, and it's the lower phalange of your index finger. So it's this lower zone. If this zone is small, that's an indication that you have just a hard time standing up for yourself. And if it's blocked, it's going to have horizontal lines running through it. And that's definitely going to be an indication that people can easily violate your boundaries, and maybe you're getting, that problem with a relationship. But, my guides told me that there's actually 5 golden rules of relationships, which I thought, oh, I want to know what that is. Because it's like, wow, what's that? So they said this. They said relationships are one of the best ways to grow and evolve as a soul being. And so they said, number 1, relationships bring soul growth, which, just like you were talking about, Megan, learning from every single person that's in front of you. I mean, that's what it's all about. Yes. And it's all positive, right? Even the negative ones are positive.
Absolutely.
Which sometimes we don't see it that way. Number 2, relationships are mirrors, right? So relationships can actually show you what it is that you can work on and heal within yourself. So, for example, if somebody is really mean or judgmental, right? Let's say that's the case. How are you being mean and judgmental to yourself? Okay, that would be a good question for you to ask yourself. Number 3, all relationships are sacred. And I love this one. And it's like, wow, what does that mean to be sacred? It means that we're all divine beings, right? We're all divine beings of light. And so therefore, our relationships are in that sacred energy as well. Number 4, relationships are dynamic. And I love this rule of relationships because they don't have to stay the same, right? They're ever changing, ever growing, ever evolving. And the more that you change and grow and evolve within yourself, the more that you are either going to stand up for yourself and get rid of that bad relationship, or that relationship dynamic will actually change. Okay. And then number 5, relationships allow us to embody love. Yay.
There's the answer.
There it is right there, number 5. That's all you need to know. Because, it really is, it's what you talk about all the time, Megan. It's all about love. And if we live in a solitary space, right? Like, let's say you're a monk on a mountain and you never connect with anyone. Well, then your connection is just with the divine, right? Which is fine. And sometimes people choose that, and there's a lifetime where that might be appropriate. But for most of us, we don't live like that. Most of us live actually around a lot of other people. And so we need to learn to deal with all the personalities that are around us. But recognizing that it's every relationship is an opportunity to express love and enhance love.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting, as I was sitting here listening, what you were describing about the empath, I thought of, because there's a book that I'm writing right now called The Structure of Love. And one of the things that I get into is the empath and the shadow. So through Carl Jung. And what I find to be very interesting, it's basically what you're touching on, is how we, the empath, seek something to feel comfortable. And so I think this is another link in what we're discussing about the bad relationship. It's not a bad relationship, but we're seeking something that needs to feel comfortable and safe. And so then, as an individual, you have to ask yourself, well, what is the safety that I'm seeking? What is this familiarity that I'm dealing with here?
Mm-hmm.
Once you can, because this can be opened up into a variety of different levels here. Okay. But once you can figure out, like, oh, this is familiar because dot, 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 and then you have clarity around it, that's golden. Because that moment of clarity is you identifying what it is that your needs are. And even if that need is, oh, I need to shift out of this completely because I'm feeling this way around this individual, or I'm feeling this way around this individual. And this is across the board in relationships, by the way. This isn't just, partnering. This could be with your family members. This could be just with friends, this could be business. This could be anything. But it's definitely the opportunity for you to start listening to yourself at a deeper level, and with that wisdom of love. That's what I call it, because that's what I received in my NDE. There's a wisdom of love, and it helps us rise. It's like this. Okay, people call it a gut instinct. I'll just go with that. So the gut instinct, the sixth sense, and it's the inner knowing. Okay, that is to help us on every level stay clear and true to what we really feel. And it's important to not walk away or make an excuse that, oh, well, it'll change. Oh, well, no, you get to a certain age and it's like, no, that's not going to change. And, I mean, truly, but things can change, but it has to be, number one, acknowledged. First of all, no one's going to change if they can't acknowledge what it is, including ourselves. So acknowledge it, listen to what it is that we need to hear, and really work on that and love ourselves without judgment of, oh, I should be, because this is the other thing that I hear in relationships. Oh, I stayed in it too long. I did this. And I've heard this so many times, but heaven is always saying, no. It's not about that. You hadn't heard yet what your highest self needed to feel. So in other words, if you don't want to feel ignored, if you don't want to be silenced in the relationship, okay, well, you have to declare it, and you have to say, all right, yeah, I'm done with that. And then,
that's true.
That energy just shifts,
Yeah.
And actually make that change happen. Are there any instructionals on that? No, just do it. It'll all happen just fine. But first you have to decide, this is necessary. And sometimes there's no answer as to why it's necessary. You just have this feeling. Go with it. Just go with it.
Yeah.
Honor yourself in that regard. That's my feeling anyway.
Yeah. I try not to look at pretty much anything as a mistake, because that's a judgment, right? We judge ourselves, and we judge our relationships. I mean, we judge everything, right? But you're right. On that soul level, there's no timeline. It's divine time. And what we think in our human body, in our human life, is like, oh yeah, this is taking me too long to learn, or why did I stay in that relationship so long? It was just, I'm so stupid for doing that. I mean, there's that judgment, right? So we gotta get out of that.
Yes, we do. And Cynthia, I was just writing about this yesterday, because what I'm trying to do in one section of my book is describe the difference, like what it felt like immediately to come back to earth after being in heaven for a number of days and having that experience of perfect love, right? And so what you're saying is, and what I'm feeling compelled to share with you is that I can't say disappointment, because that means I have expectations, okay, according to God. But what was it that I felt when I got back into my body after my near-death experience? And the answer is, I felt like, oh, I'm back in a container and I'm compartmentalized. And there are so many limitations of how I can be and how I can show up as my real self, because people don't understand what I'm talking about. Oh, hey, yeah, I just saw Jesus on the way out of heaven. Oh, yeah. And then the last soul that I saw was Prophet Muhammad. And people are like, wait, what? You know, that doesn't make any sense. So my point is that love is boundless. And that's what I have felt. There are no boundaries in it. There is no compartmentalizing. There is no self-doubt of, do I fit in here? I mean, I'll say I had never felt anything like it in my entire earth life right now. And when I sat at God's table, when I very first, got chair pulled out, I sit down fresh off earth, I didn't feel that I was worthy of what I felt in there, because it was so incredibly nurturing and loving and warm. And I felt this love that was so incredibly unconditional from so many sitting around me. And I thought, this isn't right. I mean, am I in the wrong place? Because I haven't felt anything like this before. Okay. And that's not a victim thing. That's just a realization of what my life was like and how I felt in my life. Now, not to say I don't adore my son, and not to say I've never felt an unconditional love, because I have and I do, but it's different because the atmosphere that I was in was and the warmth.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
The energy in that was absolute alignment with, you're accepted. Don't worry about it. Yeah, there's no judgment here. You just show up and be you. That's all we want you to do. Just be yourself. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think of my little puppy, when I think of that unconditional love. And, animals, they're like that. They have so much love to offer us, and they don't care what we look like. They don't care, if we're having a bad day. I mean, my dog is so intuitive.
Yes.
If I yell at my computer, just as an example, let's say something went wrong on my computer and I suddenly start yelling at my computer. He will literally get up off wherever he is. He'll come right over to me and he will want me to pick him up and hold him.
Oh,
that's his way of saying, I love you and I want to comfort you.
I am your support dog. Please hold me. I will heal you. That's what he's saying.
That's exactly right. He does it every time. He just knows when I'm upset. And it's like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Animals are so incredibly intuitive, and they all have these different personalities, and it's like, wow, how magical. And, like you were saying, the animals are not judgmental. And I think of my little dog, who as well.
Yes.
And she's so sensitive. And when I talk, I whisper to her, because she was a kennel dog. She was born in a kennel. So there were a lot of loud things that happened in her life. And it's so funny. All I have to do is just, okay, and whisper and just talk to her like this. And she just tilts her head and looks at me, she loves it. I turn on binaural beats for her and Mozart, and loves it. Nice. Mom's on the rebounder, and she's like, okay, there she goes, listening to that fast stuff. I'm going to move into the other room,
Absolutely. But yeah, I also wanted just to mention too, that from a hand perspective, again, because I'm always looking at everything that way, there are many indicators in the hands, first of all, of your emotional responsiveness. How are you feeling? How are you expressing those feelings? What is your What are your trapped emotions? What are you still holding on to that needs to heal? All of that actually does show up in your hands. And you can also see compatibility in the hands because, of course, we have a personality, right?
Wow.
So, and the personality forms by the time we're about 5 or 6 years old. And that's actually going to be in the hand shape. So, in my first book, Stories in Your Hands, I do talk a little bit about compatibility between the archetypes. So, for example, if you have a fire hand like me, I'm a chariot hand. So I've got short fingers, a long palm. I've got a strong index finger. That is somebody who has a lot of dynamic, high achiever energy, right? So how do I get along with somebody who, for example, is maybe more passive or more, not so high achiever, right? So they're like a water hand is my opposite hand. I actually do really well with my opposite hand, but more in like a coaching relationship, right? So it's just really interesting to think about the different dynamics that show up in our personalities. And then, of course, our soul has an agenda as well. And that's, again, why I feel like, you tell me your opinion on this, Megan, but I do feel like some relationships are predestined. And especially the mother. We choose our mother before we come into this lifetime.
You know how I think of the mother? Now I understand that the mother is to create the thread of the theme we are here to work with in our life, this entire life, and to come to peace with and heal with. That's what I believe the mother teaches us. Because if you think about it, and our brains within the first 3 years are just boom, done on so many levels. What is it, 80, 90% formed? Or is that 3 years? But within the first 10 years of your life, it is so significant what's happening in the brain.
Absolutely.
And the mother is so incredibly powerful in that role. But my question to you, listening, getting back to the hands and how they speak, the soul, is what do you think? And I have my own answer on this, but what do you think about mantras to shift what the dialogue is that's going on and showing up in your hands? Do you feel like mantras have anything to do with helping change the patterning that you see, or what are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, so there's the free will aspect of the hands. Okay, so that's the third aspect. We have the personality, the soul, and the free will. And absolutely, our free will is I would say it's underutilized because a lot of times people don't set intentions the way that they really can. They don't recognize their own power. And especially in relationships, right?
Yes.
They think, oh, this is how it's always going to be. Oh, he always reacts this way. Oh, my mom is always going to be like this. That's very limiting. And you're just reinforcing that pattern by repeating it, right? So yes, if you set a new mantra, or there's actually ways to reprogram your subconscious as well. And you can transform emotions. I mean, all these things you can do. But as you heal these things, yes, you can change that dynamic and how it affects you. And that's really the key, is you don't have to be a victim to any bad relationship forever. We're not supposed to stay victims forever. I mean, that's just not how it works. We are meant to transform our lives. And yes, it will show up in the hands, in the lines.
Interesting. You just hit on another nerve that I've been writing about as well. And that is around being a victim. Because our entire life is not being the victim to anything. when the moment happens, such as something like a rape, okay, that is being a victim in the moment. But how you come out of that situation, how you choose to show up in life for yourself, how you choose to think, how you choose to seek out the healing modalities to shift what you are feeling inside, that is the power. There is such a strong power and in choice, okay, and how you think. And victim, oh, I've been the victim. You've been the victim. We've all been the victim to something. The world has been a victim. But how we alter that is to recognize that, okay, that situation is done. It's complete on the exterior. But what is it that needs to be changed on the interior? How is it that we are going to shift the victim mentality? And this isn't, first of all, we can only start with ourselves, right? By recognizing it and by nurturing that thought, okay, in how to better ourselves and how we show up, which is the ripple effect. And this is what we're here to do in this life. But we also have to help everybody get to this understanding. Everybody deserves to be heard. Everybody deserves to be understood. Everybody deserves to be nurtured in their feelings. And it's important that there's, because I can think of so many world circumstances right now, and I was shown 3 of them in my NDE. And the one that, that just hits me. So, well, they're all 3, the Native Americans, the Holocaust, and the Civil Rights Movement. Everybody was a victim. And what's interesting, what I find to be interesting in this compartmentalization of victims is that we have systematically, as a humanity, not as an individual, but as a humanity at large, continued to compartmentalize. And what is the most dangerous thing is to not see that we need to hold ourselves accountable for how we are translating what has actually happened energetically. I know that just went out there, but that's what you made me think of, saying the victim.
Yeah. Well, definitely. I mean, going back to the movie Pillars of Power, that I am so excited. Just the world premiere just happened, by the way, everybody who might not have heard earlier.
Yeah.
But we as individuals have so much more power than we may realize. And you can step into your own greatness. And this includes having amazing relationships, you know, having money, having mental wellness, you know, all of these things are possible, right? And I just love Joe Vitale's message, because he's in the movie, and he was basically homeless. You know, he had nothing, and he made the decision to turn himself around. And he actually talked about in the movie this point where he had a gun, and he was thinking about killing himself, and he even fired off a shot to make sure it was working and it was loaded. And it's like, whoa, that's got to be the darkest place you can be, right? Mm-hmm. But he stopped, and he didn't do it. And he put the gun away. He had enough strength to do that. And now look where he is. I mean, he's inspiring people all over the world. To me, that's such an amazing story. And I think a lot of us have those stories within us, you know, where we have been in that dark space. I know I was. When I lost my marriage, I was in a really dark space. And I ended up getting vertigo for 9 months. And I basically was forced onto my back, and I was forced to meditate for hours a day. But hey, that was the blessing, right? So we got to look at the blessings behind everything. And I'm actually really grateful now that the angels woke me up at 5:55 every morning. And it was so funny because I am not a morning person. And this is how I know, like, the divine is real. This is one way that I absolutely know it's true. I've been a night person my whole life, a night owl. I can stay up till, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, no problem. But when I had my divorce and I got that vertigo and all that stuff, and the angels would wake me up at 5:55 in the morning. And I'm not kidding you, I was wide awake. I'm like, what is going on? This is the strangest thing I've ever experienced. And it was as if they were saying, well, 555, first of all, means it's a massive number of change, right? It means everything is changing. You're going through a change. And it was also, you need to get up and meditate. So that's what I did. I would immediately get up, go meditate. And I knew, and this is where the free will comes in, I knew where I was at was not where I was going to stay. And so that's really ultimately wherever you are in your life, wherever you are that you don't like, that you don't want to be, you do not have to stay there. It's time to take back your power.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as you know, I'm going through a situation right now in my life, and there are a lot of steps that have to be corrected. It has put me in a position that I never thought I could be in. And I'll tell you something, I am so calm about it, like right now. And I've actually been calm about it because what I know, and as I'm praying to heaven every day, talking about it, you are conditioning me differently right now. So meaning I have to listen differently to what's actually happening. I have to allow myself to recognize where there's power in me to make a shift. Okay, it takes effort, in this area and this area. I have to show up differently for myself than I've ever been challenged with previously. So I am actually really grateful. And I remember this morning, I looked up and I thought, yeah, this is only temporary. I knew it within me. And when you think about the energy of love, this is how I think about love. We all get this, I should say, we've all been faced with in our lives the opportunity to shift on multiple levels. However, some of us, including myself, have made choices in the past or currently to hold in this stagnant place within. Now, I'm not in the stagnant place, but I'm being challenged because that stagnancy is like, I know that feeling. I have to look at it and pay attention and go, I see you. Because it's like what Jesus said to me in heaven. Megan, what if I were to tell you every experience is a child within you? What would you do to those children? And immediately, without hesitation, I said, evict them immediately. He said, oh, okay. So I said, we still need to talk. So we talked, and I'm not allowed to remember the rest of that conversation. And then he says, okay, I'm going to ask you a question again. And I said, okay. And he says, now, with what we've just discussed, knowing that every child is an experience, what would you do to the children inside of you? And I looked at him and he said, and keep in mind, every child is you. And that's when my light bulb went on. And I went, oh my gosh, okay. I would listen to them. I would acknowledge them. I would nurture them, and I would love them. So that's what we are to do in every experience. Nurture it, love it, acknowledge it for what it is, because it is a child in you who is seeking that parent. So what wound up happening, not in that moment, I don't remember this part happening in that moment, but years later after my NDE, I remember like holding the power, because I didn't have parents who were hands-on at all. I mean, they were just like, oh, you're here. Okay, hi. And it was very disconnect on many levels. And so what I had to do is recognize that I have the power to step in and correct that which needs to be corrected based upon my own choice. I don't need somebody else to tell me this is the way it's going to go. I'm allowed to tell myself this is the way it's going to go. And so getting back to what you said something earlier, and my memory, it's not great all the time, but you said something that indicated about how we have the power. And you know something? We absolutely do. And we don't give ourselves the credit for it. We can actually make the changes that we want. And all it means is being consistent with what it is that we are actively involving our energy in. So, like when I go and work out, right, I'm thinking, oh, I can't wait to get my arms, more built up. Oh, I can't wait to get abs again, right? I'm on the path. But it doesn't happen overnight. That's dedication and consistency. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing of showing up in our own life and recognizing it for what it is and allowing ourselves to just acknowledge it, not judge it, be with it in absolute peace and understanding, and love yourself through it. Because another thing that I hear with people, I don't know about you, but I'm sure you can understand what I've heard from these individuals in the work that I do is, oh, I'm this age and I should have, and I blah, blah, blah. No. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're 65 or 35. The point is that you are awakening to a different level of yourself. And energy, as you know, never dies. So that energy that we hold on to in that stagnancy that I was talking about earlier, that stagnancy is an opportunity for us to recognize it and not have any expectation around it. Because once you have expectation of it, then you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And that's according to God when he asked me the question.
That's true.
We want it to go a certain way, but in us putting all that energy of we want it to go this way and we want to direct it and we want to have the power over it, what we're doing is we're setting ourselves up for some sort of compartmentalized experience. So if you just allow yourself to open into it and just experience it as the boundless energy of love, my God, can you think about the self-growth in that and the spiritual growth perhaps? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's so much opportunity in relationships. So
there are.
Yeah. I recommend, this is something that I actually recommend for people. I recommend that they take a look at all their relationships. Okay. Look at every single one and ask yourself, what am I learning in this relationship? How am I growing in this relationship? What is this relationship showing me? And as you can reflect on it and kind of take a step back, right? It's going to be very eye-opening, I think, for you. So, okay, so I want to also mention to everybody that we do Q&A here on the show. And you're welcome to type in your questions into the chat. And an even better way would be to scan the QR code that we have on the screen. And you can actually submit your hands. I can look at your hands. You can get your question submitted in advance so that we can have more time to really reflect on your question. But these are some options for you. And I also want to mention that Megan and I also do a more intimate guidance circle. And we call that the higher guidance circle. And let me put the QR code up for that as well. Because that is actually your opportunity to really get your questions answered. And we can go into a much more intimate setting because it's private, it's in Zoom. We limit it to just 10 people, so that everybody can learn from each other and it's not a huge group, and we can spend time with each of you. So it's much less expensive than doing a one-on-one session. So if you're looking for a more affordable option and you still want to get some assistance, I would recommend that you sign up for our next Higher Guidance Circle. By the way, we do these every other Friday. So our next one is actually going to be on the 26th of June, which is a Friday. And we start at 5:30 in the afternoon, Arizona time. So if you're interested, just scan that QR code and you can sign up to be included for the next one. And then I also want to mention that you don't have to submit your hands. Some people, it's really not difficult to submit your hands, by the way. I just need a good digital photo of your hands, but you don't have to submit your hands if you still want to ask a question. Okay, so I will throw that out there. You can still ask a question, and I can pull cards, and Megan can tap into her to her guides. So anyway is fine with us. Okay, but yeah, this is really a beautiful opportunity for you because you get to work with both of us rather than just one of us. And a lot of times Megan will come up with some different insights than I do and vice versa. And that's why we work so well together. So anyway, I would love to see you guys join us for the next Higher Guidance Circle. It's really affordable and it's definitely going to get you some amazing help in whatever your next steps are. So I'd like to turn over to a couple of questions that were asked, that were submitted. So the first one actually came in from Beth. And she said, why do I always attract the same kind of guy, one who ends up being mean and dishonest? Okay, so that's the first question that we're going to answer. Okay, and I didn't get your hands submitted, so I'll start out actually just by pulling a card for you, and then we can see where that goes. And while I'm doing that, Megan can tune into your energy and she can start identifying what's going on. But yeah, so attracting the same kind of guy. We did talk about this earlier, by the way, some of the dynamics of that, which is common with those empaths. But yeah, the card coming up for you is the Two of Air. Okay, this is the poor lady has her eyes closed, her ears closed. You know, it's like, oh no, this is definitely an emotional card. So what this is telling me is that there's some trapped emotions that you need to deal with that you maybe are not acknowledging, or you need to look inside yourself. What are you not healing within yourself? Okay. So there's definitely a trapped emotion, and it probably is coming from a past relationship that you haven't completely healed from. So what are you getting, Megan, from that?
It's interesting because I closed my eyes for a second because I was trying to say the prayer around her name. So if you will, because I did get something, but I just want to clear it. Can I just say the prayer?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, so what I'm getting around Beth is, first of all, I hear mother. So there's something in the mothering patterning that she learned that is familiar in these relationships. And you're right, there is another relationship with her that I'm getting of another man, and it's similar. Um, it's similar in the dynamic of how they have shown up energetically in her life. The reason that this is happening is because there is something she needs. This is specifically going to her mother. There is something that she needs from her mother that was not, and if it's father, okay, but I'm hearing strong mother, but there's something energetically that was missed. So that's what I'm getting. She's seeking energetically. This is what she wants, whether she knows it or not. And it's showing up in this patterning with the men.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so our next question, it's coming in from Samantha. And she says, I'm looking for love in my life, but I've been alone for a long time. Why can't I find someone? Okay, so again, this is, I didn't get your hands in advance, so I'm just going to pull a card on this. And while I do that, Megan can maybe tune into this question. And,
okay, I'm gonna close my
and we'll just see what comes up. So yeah, looking for love can be, it can be rough sometimes. Okay, so the card coming up is the inverted 10 of air. Okay, this is a very interesting card because it's the lifeline card. All right, the lifeline actually represents your life force and your vitality. Okay, so energetically, what this is saying is that you are subconsciously pushing people away from you because you are afraid that they are actually going to drain your life force energy. You have a lot of independence around you is what this card is indicating. And so you actually guard your vitality very fiercely. And so even if you consciously are thinking like, oh, I'm going to attract somebody, I'm going to find somebody, your lifeline is saying no, because the vitality is guarding itself. So if I were you, Samantha, as I would look at your relationship around your vitality and your physical environment, and also look at your feng shui. I'm getting that your feng shui might be a little bit off and maybe not conducive to actually attracting a partner. For example, do you have your bed shoved up against the wall where it's only easy to get in on one side? Okay. Something as simple as that can actually block a partner. So move the bed away from the wall. How many pillows do you have on the bed? Do you have one pillow or two pillows? You need to have two pillows if you want to attract a partner. Okay, so these kinds of things are what I would pay attention to. This all ties in with the vitality. And setting your space up where you feel like, yes, I'm going to actually feel good and energized to have somebody else around, as opposed to, oh, I'm going to order them to put their cups over here or do the dishes like this, or, they can only decorate in this way. That's extremely restrictive. And that's basically saying, no, I'm guarding my vitality. Okay. So that's what I'm getting for you. So I hope that's helpful. So Megan.
Okay, so one of the things that I was getting is around the protection of how, and this is for herself. Okay, Samantha, this is for you, is like how you protect yourself. And in this regard, because we're talking about relationships, it's about honoring your boundaries, is what I'm hearing. And the other thing that I got, the second quiet prayer that I said is about love. And I'm wishing you love. I'm wishing everybody love. Okay, when I connect with them, and I'm asking that love just channel through us. So what I'm getting also is the visual of those that I call on. So the first three are totally clear. everybody's in white. It's all white, which is all good. This is purity. This is love. This is wonderful. But then when I start calling on the next level of the archangels and ascended masters, it cuts off at their heads. So all I can see is here up, which indicates, and they said that you're in your head a lot and you're thinking. So this has to do with thinking. And but the good news in the thinking is that I'm also getting it's very clear in how you are showing up for yourself spiritually. But to really honor yourself, set the boundaries that are necessary, and also be open. Like Cynthia was just talking about, be open to allowing the energy to come in, because you don't have to fix yourself. Okay. It's not about fixing. It's about just correcting how you are looking at the whole thing and how you think about it. So, and by thinking about it in a positive manner, not judging yourself or anybody else for that matter, you're allowing yourself to call in that which you would like to experience. That's what I'm getting. That's just a little snippet.
Yes. All right. Well, lovely. Well, thanks everyone for your questions. And we love to do this live stream on Saturdays for you, where we talk about hands, hearts, and higher guidance, which is why we call that the name of the show, Live Soul Readings. And if you want to join our higher guidance circle, just scan that QR code up above. Next week, we are taking a break because I am doing my 4-day retreat here in Sedona. So by the way, if you're interested in that, I still have a couple of openings. Just go to ascension17.com/retreats. And you can find out how you could join if you're really interested in your soul awakening. So it's a super great way just to like reset your energy, get away from your everyday routine, really focus on yourself for some deep healing. It's an amazing experience. So we're going to do our live stream the week after, which will be, we're going to focus on soul purpose. And so that's going to be on the 27th. It'll be our next show. So you have plenty of time to submit questions in the meantime. And definitely if you want to join us on the 26th, which is the night before for the Higher Guidance Circle, just scan that QR code and you can get in. Once we fill up, we fill up. So any last thoughts, Megan, before we sign off?
Yes. May everybody show up as themselves and just be your highest self in representing love in this world and in your life. I really wish that for everybody.
Beautifully said. Yes. And my message is, remember that you have more power than you realize. And this includes the power you have in your relationships. So make sure that you recognize that within yourself. And until next time, let's ascend together. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.